Hey, good morning, guys. It's Friday, August 17th, and I've got some pretty cool stuff to share with y'all today. First of all, I usually tell you where I'm going today, next couple of days, and then I try to recap last night. There's not too much to the recap, well, there's some really good things going on or that happened. So today I'm heading to the town of Cuba, Missouri. Um, it's pretty early. It's only 6 o'clock, I think, my time where I'm at now. Um, Been up for a while. I'll tell you about that in a second. Um, I I'll probably be hitting the road pretty early today because I didn't do a lot last night. To be honest with you, I was really wiped out. I was had a problem with my knee. My doctor gave me these muscle relaxers, but they make me pretty wiped out. I took one last night and kind of made me real sleepy. So luckily, one of my people I've come to be a real true journey friend on this trip, Scott, had, unbeknownst to me the day before, gotten me a room, and it seems like that's been this whole week, and I'll tell you about that tonight as well. And so I had a place to go when I got into town. So yesterday there wasn't a whole lot going on. Um, I left uh, I left St. Clair, um, short of my little mishap with my water bottle where I punctured it. Um, and had a bag of water early in the journey. It was just a long trip in. Got contacted by Christine over at the Sullivan, SIN, Sullivan, not International, Independent News. And, she was inquiring. I didn't know if they wanted to do a story or whatever, but I told her I could probably meet her about 4 o'clock, 4:30. I'd make it in the town, or I could make it to a town called Stanton around 2:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Well, Stanton turned out to be just a very small, really small. Has a post office and a store that's a slash fireworks slash mini mart. So I was able to get there and get some drinks and refreshed, and then made it back on my journey into Sullivan. I made it in and met with Christine over at her news agency. It was on the east side of town, so it was very easy to get to. I did have a really cool story. Sorry, guys, that I got to get my thing fixed. I did have a really cool story that I can't share a whole lot on here, but I met two gentlemen yesterday, Rob and Marshall, which was a really cool, really cool thing took place. Got me in the town, and I met with Christine, and then basically said, "Hey, where's the place in town where I can meet some folks?" And they suggested Boomers, so I headed over to Boomers, which was very close to the hotel, and close to shopping, which I'm going to be touching on again as well with that. And I was only there a short time. I did my kind of night video, and I was pretty beat. So headed over to the hotel, got something to eat, and was out by probably 7:30 at night, um, maybe 8 o'clock. But while I was walking yesterday, I have a few people that have been very helpful in reaching out ahead of me. I just don't have the time on the road to kind of do some of the things I'd like to do, which would help me, like letting small newspapers know I'm coming to town, um, putting things out to maybe some social media to let them know. So I've got a few folks. You've heard me talk about my friend Steve as a navigator. Lisa does a lot with that, and Scott has been very helpful, especially as the lady's taking it up. Well, he must have reached out to the Cuba Township, and I got an email from a gentleman. I don't think he has any problem with me using his name or his business. So I got an email from Jimmy West, and he, I guess, is the owner or proprietor of Frisco's Grill in Cuba, where I'll be heading today. And first he said, um, hey, know you'll be coming in the town. When you come in, you got yourself a hot meal here at Frisco's. And I said, really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. And that was great. And then about 20 minutes later, he said something which really got me excited. He's like, hey, do you have any idea what time you might be here? I go, they got a bunch of folks that I would like you to, meet. And that made me excited because sometimes I get into places and I get to talk, and it turns about me and the walk and the journey, and I don't get to really talk about what has now become the purpose of my walk, which is to spread the point, the thumb, mantra, the point of the film philosophy, is I really think it could be something that should catch on many, many places. And then, so the fact that I could have a group of people that might ask some questions or want to talk to me, kind of like back in Hobart, Indiana, it's a great opportunity for me and for us for those of us that embrace pointing the thumb at ourselves first. And then later after that, he's emailed me and said, "Hey, you need a place to stay on Friday?" I said, "Well, I don't have anything arranged yet." And he said, "Well, let me make some calls." And he called me back or emailed me back and said, "Hey, I got you squared away. I'm going to get you a room at the, I think, Route 66 Motor Lodge." So I've heard that's a pretty historic place. So I'm very excited for that, and again, very grateful for that as well. So that was really very cool. And other than that, the night was quiet. However, if you've heard me talk before, one of the things I miss, my job always had me working and being up early morning hours. And I always enjoyed listening to, in fact, one's on now, except I don't have it, I can't get to it. Two radio talk shows. The first one is the Ben Maller Show. They're both on Fox Sports Radio, and you've heard me talk about these guys a couple of times in my YouTubes. Well, Ben had heard about that. I think Lisa might have sent a clip to him, or even Glenn. But anyway, Ben reached out to me. He's been talking to me just a little bit, just supportive of what I'm doing with the journey, and said, "Look, if I get out to California, stop on by." And I used to be a frequent caller to the show. He does a lot of game shows, and I'm a pretty good sports trivia guy. And you go by nicknames on the show. And my nickname used to be the Amusal King. It was my brother one time, many years ago, I always seemed to make him laugh, and he's like, "You're the king of Amusal." So I don't know why I came up with the Amusal King, but that's what I was on the show. Anyway, on Fridays, this show, it's a great show. And if you could podcast it, I highly encourage you to podcast it. For me, if you've heard this, if you could even just go to his Facebook page, The Ben Maller Show on Fox Sports Radio, and like his page, I'd appreciate that for what he's done for me today, and I'll tell you about that. So, but on Fridays, one of his scheduled bits is he does something called Lame Jokes of the Week on Friday. And most of the time they're bad jokes, but I used to look forward to it so much. And I literally would get to the office, and I wouldn't leave the car until I finished hearing it because I enjoyed it so much. So one of the things I've been missing on this journey is the Lame Jokes of the Week. Well, being I went to sleep early last night, and being I'm not at somebody's home, I was awake. Most of you know I only sleep a few hours a day, so I've been awake since about 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning. Well, at 2:30 in the morning Central Time, his show was on. So I called the show, and basically I spoke to the producer, Justin Cooper, who I've spoken to many, many times. Very cool guy. And those of you that don't know, Justin Cooper was the child actor Max from Liar Liar. He gave up acting and he went into producing radio. So he and I know each other, not personally, but we talked enough to know enough of each other. Very cool guy. So Justin lets me go and puts me on hold, and when you're on hold, you can hear the radio show. So he put me on hold, so I got to hear the show, which I haven't heard in about 7 weeks now, and it was great. It really was great. But then, I guess he put me on with Ben. So here I was on the radio show, and if you know Ben and you listen to the show, it's a lot of shtick and joking, and that's why I love it. No one takes themselves too serious. He has a bunch of what he calls the Maller Militia, a group of people that are regular callers that just, some are wacky, some are funny, some are serious. Anyway, he got me on the radio, and I didn't know where it was going to go. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention what I'm doing or whatever, but he did mention it plenty for me. He actually, I'll let you listen to it. So the best thing to do is to let you know that Ben Maller, the Ben Maller Show, had me on for a good 5 minutes yesterday, just talking about what I'm doing. And he mentioned the website pttjourney.com at least 2 times. So all his listeners got to hear about that. Now, my phone didn't necessarily blow up with people, following me or liking the Facebook page or anything like that. But, maybe that comes. But again, he didn't have to do this. So if you're interested in listening to it, if you go to podcast The Ben Maller Show for today's show, I think it'll be probably ready later this morning or this afternoon. The podcast is usually, I think it shows 3 or 4 hours. The podcast, of course, they cut commercials out and they edit it down. He usually does the lame jokes about halfway through, and then about 15 minutes before that is when he did my part. I've asked Toby and Adam to see if they can kind of clip it and maybe put it on my website and my Facebook page for people. But it just was really, really cool. He didn't have to do that, and I mean, how much better publicity can I have than being on you know, a national radio program? I mean, I guess it could be a national TV program, but for now, a national radio program is well exceeds anything I could hope for and wish for. So I love Ben, I love the show, I love Coop. Danny G is no longer there. Eddie Garcia is still there. These guys almost feel like family to me. I've never met them, but you listen to them every day for so long, like anything else, they kind of become part of you. So those were a couple of really cool things that took place. And knowing I got a good night's sleep last night makes knowing that even though I might not have a lot of sleep, I'll be up early. My trip into Cuba today should go real well, because again, I know I've got people to meet, I've got someone to look forward to, I've got a specific destination. The challenge I do have is I'd like to be on the road already, because some days when I'm going as far as I am today, it's a 10, 12 hour day, depending upon the heat and my rest. It came through rain again last night, but that cleared out. It should have great weather. But the challenge I've got is that I've got medication I've got to take, and the medication, I got to get to a pharmacy this morning because I'm out, and the pharmacies don't open up till like 8 or 9 o'clock. So not only do I need to go to a pharmacy, but now I need to wait for the prescription to get done. Sometimes they do it while you're waiting, they're kind enough, sometimes they don't. So I'm gonna get out of here shortly, get some breakfast in me real quick, head over to the pharmacy, get my prescription taken care of, and then be on my way. The problem is I'll be probably starting, you know, an hour or two, at least an hour or two later than I'd like to be. So that's kind of a bummer. But anyway, guys, if you're still listening and you're following, or you know anybody, please know that I will be in Cuba, Missouri tonight, and I will be most of the night, or at least the early portion, at Frisco's restaurant. And I look forward to seeing you guys. If you know anybody who wants to come by and say hello and ask any questions, or I really, really welcome that. I do. I love meeting the people. That's what the story's about. The last few nights have been mostly hotels, and it is part of the story. You know, it's about people that believe in me enough to and what I'm doing to do that for me. And then another really cool thing happened on the Ben Maller show. While I was on the air, later on, somebody tweeted him from Springfield, Missouri, and said, "Hey, tell him when he gets through, when he comes through on 44, to look me up and we'll have a drink." So I said, "Hey, tell him to hit me up on the website, and I'll be more than happy to." So, you know, cool things can happen from this stuff. So thanks for following. I love you guys. I do. Landon, behave yourself today, buddy. I love you. Kira, you're the best. Grace, you're the best too. You guys are wrapping up a vacation with Mom, so enjoy the last couple of days. I know school starts next week, which is never fun. So wrap up your vacation. I love you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for following, guys.